Hey, how you doing, everybody? Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's Mikhail Butler. I'm your host today, and I have my lovely guest here, really good friend of mine, Sarah McLemore, here today.
Hi
Say hi to the
y'all.
folks.
Hey y'all.
So today we're going to be talking about self-reflection and looking inward to oneself. That way, you can reflect that outward, and change things about yourself, as well as look to see what changes you need to be made in your life, and how you're going about things in your life. So self-reflection. Excuse me, I adjust myself. Self-reflection is, I mean, for me, it's about looking at not only your internal things about oh, how do I feel about a certain topic, or maybe how do I comprehend a certain aspect of life, but it's also about what you're doing in your life, into where all right, I'm let's say, for example, us, we're 20 years old. I'm 21. I'm about to start school again. I'm about to get a job, do this, do that, do whatever the case may be. um, is that something that I can say, when I reflect on it in my own life, something that I truly want to do? Is that something that, for me myself, is that something that is going to push me to become better? Am I doing things that are going to benefit me? Am I doing things that are actually hindering my goals in life, as to where I should be trying to do things to propel myself forward? Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
So, what would you say would be like, what would you consider to be a self-reflective, aspect in life, or what would you consider to be, a self-reflection?
So for me, like I'm now 21, and yeah, like I guess the self reflection is like for where I am right now. What I'm like 4 years out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
and what? No, I didn't finish school. I only did what, a year and a half
Mm-hmm.
of it, which I didn't know that was end up gonna happening. But I
Mm-hmm.
did that, and then now I've just been I've been working actually really hard for the entire 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and in all reality, it's like a self reflection is like, is that what? Can I think about like, is that where I wanted to be? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but well, yeah, is that where I wanted to be? And my self reflection is, yeah, I don't regret anything that I did, and I'm happy with where I am now, because where I am now, the reason why I'm here now is because I learned a lot of things. But yeah, I learned a lot of things, and even though I'm not as far as I wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
back when I was in high school, where I am now, I'm proud of it because I've learned a lot, and I feel like if I would have went to school, stayed in school, and
Mm-hmm.
didn't experience the things that I did now,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily, my mindset, I wouldn't be where I am now.
I got you. So I think that's a good thing to bring up. Like, self-reflection doesn't always have to be just about, granted, it is about, oh, is this right for me, what I'm doing right now? Is this right for my life choices? Is this right for, my career path, or whatever path it may be? But I think it's, like you were saying, it's also a very good point to where you can say, okay, where am I at now? Am I happy with, what I have done in my life? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like seeing, okay, I set these goals, 5 years in the future. Once you get to that 5 year mark in that future, you kind of reflect on it and be like, okay, what goals did I or did I not hit? You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So you're able to kind of, judge how you've been progressing in life, what went wrong, what went right, and how you've been able to progress as a human being up until that point. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you can have whatever goals you want, whether that be, for a job, or for whatever case you may want to put your life towards. But at the end of the day, it's whether or not have I progressed as a person. Am I, at the end of the day, am I making myself better? Whatever aspect of life you want that to be in.
Yeah.
But by all means, I think that's the overarching factor of life.
Yeah.
Um,
Like,
for yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
I feel like no matter how many things you do, or like if you're not necessarily like I feel like it's just all about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really is. Like as long as your mind is there, like
Mm-hmm.
if you could, like yeah, as long as your mind is there, you could get there. It's just all about your mindset. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
believe it, and then you just make it happen. Like
Well, let's put it into into perspective for some people, right? Because not everyone might understand what we're talking about, right? Like self reflection. Like, why would I need to do that? Why would I need to think to myself about myself. Why would I need to do that? So I think it's, for me personally, because I can only speak on my personal perspective and how I view things. I think it's extremely important to look inward to oneself. And I've said this before on multiple occasions. Like, if these podcasts are seeming like something of a broken record, it's because they are, right? Like, everything that I'm trying to, not only speak but teach is things that one will piggyback off the other continuously, and that's how we should live life. Every one thing should be able to build on top of each other, somewhat of a building block. But that's beside the point. Point being that everyone needs to look inward to reflect on themselves, what they want to get out of life outward. You'll never know what you want out of life if you don't know what you want. You know what I'm saying? And to look inward is to find passion, find desire, find admiration, and find those things in either someone else or, something else, or whatever the case may be. For me, a long time, my passion was football. And, it didn't take me very long to look inward and find that, but it took me a long time to push to my life after football. So for me to look inward and find within myself what I want to do with my life after football, because let's face it, at the end of the day, no matter what sport you're playing, it's not going to last forever. Mm-hmm. You have me and your brother that are, retired athletes now, and now it's like, what are you guys doing with your lives? So it's very important to be able to look and see, what do I want my goals to be? Not only what do you want your goals to be, because everyone has goals, but are those goals going to make you happy? Are those goals going to actually make you a better person? Like, everyone has career goals. Like, okay, I want to be, manager branch of this, or, I want to be the boss of this. I want to start my own business, whatever the case may be. But is that actually pushing you to become a happier person? Is that pushing you to become a better person? Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's really, those points are hit. Everyone's money, but is that, is that really what you want to do with your life? Is that, is that going to make you happy at the end of the day? And people won't know that until they really look inside. That's the same. Basically, I'm barking up the tree of the saying, money can't buy you happiness. That's the tree I'm barking up, right? So you can have all the money in the world, but unless you are able to self-reflect, look inward, find out what your passions, your desires are, so on and so forth, then you'll finally be able to, achieve happiness, achieve what you really want. And there's no one that can take that away from you. You know what I'm saying? So there's no amount of money or anything like that can actually, hinder your happiness. That's just what you're going to be. You're just going to be a happy person off that.
For real, yeah. You don't need money to be happy. Like,
you don't.
It's just, at all. Like, because at the end of the day, money, I think of it, money can get, money allows you to do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, if you don't know what you want to do,
money's useless.
Yeah.
It's to me, I see money as a means to an end. So I see money as something I need to attain to do the things I want to do. Mm-hmm.
It's not happiness, but you just need it. It's
exactly.
A necessity.
It's a necessity. I think, and that's just, unfortunately, as it is in our world now, money makes the world go round. You need it to, achieve certain things, and that's just, how things go. And thankfully, I've been blessed with a good education and, opportunities to where I can get jobs and things like that can put me in the right situations for them. But, with that being said, that, it takes a lot of self-reflecting on that case also to keep your mind right. Because at the same time, money isn't everything, but money can change people. And you see that a lot with, professional athletes, I think, or, certain musical artists. And I was actually having a conversation about this with my grandfather the other day. People that are able to, they come from, hard childhoods, single mother or father, whatever the case may be, maybe a few brothers and sisters, kind of having to watch their family members as well as themselves and help, the family grow up. And then they attain all this large sum of money, and, then it's like, they're doing this drug, or they're doing, that different thing. They're like, getting into all these different bad things. It's like, well, how can you, come from a humble lifestyle and blow your money on all this expensive stuff? Like, you never needed it before. Why do you need it now? And I think that has to do with a lot of people lacking the ability to self-reflect. They're not able to see, okay, this is where I came from. This is what I need in life. Now that I have all this money, what am I going to do with it to where I can still keep my integrity as a person? They don't look forward to that. So I think that's clearly something that, I mean, probably the general population won't really face. But it's still, it matters, especially for someone of my age. Like, let's say, for example, in my shoes, I'm young, just coming out of college. I have a new job. It's going to be the first time where I'm going to be getting a consistent paycheck. Something that's going to make me money, and I have a little bit to probably throw around after the fact. For someone that's coming out of school with a really big job, I mean, there's something that's like, okay, you have to decipher, what do I need versus what do I want. Like, well, what are the necessities in life that I have to get out of this, right? Because I mean, at the same case as someone who is famous, who's making millions, it's the same factor for us who's making a couple thousand, yeah, a couple hundred, couple thousand, So it's like you gotta manage your money. You gotta manage your money, and you gotta do things the right way that'll benefit you as an overall instead of what's going to benefit you right now in this moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Think towards the future, not just in the present.
Exactly. You gotta build up for the future, just in case. Because twists and turns happen all the time. You never know what's going to happen. I think that's the epitome of us being alive, the unexpectancy of it. You don't know what's going to happen. You can plan as much as you want, but things won't always go as planned. Clearly, as I'm sure we all know from life.
Yeah.
So.
But like I was thinking, like I feel like going off of like what you said in your last podcast about like failures and mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, because like you're right, you never fail, you never take an L. It's just a lesson, and that's why that comes with self-reflecting. Anytime you make a mistake or you feel like you took a step back, just self-reflect. Think about whatever the situation was. Just think about how you could be better, how you could personally be better, so it won't happen again. All that.
I think that's a great point. I think that's pretty much when we do take our lessons, that's the evaluatory process of it. Being able to like you said, reflect and see, okay, what went wrong, and how am I going to learn from this situation to where next time if it arises again, I'll attack it in a different light and do better in that same aspect. So that definitely that makes a lot of sense. Like if you're like really like someone who's very controlled with their emotions, like you get super angry and you kind of like black out and you like really don't know like what you're doing. Yeah, you got to really take a second to step back and I think that's more of a displacement kind of thing, kind of distracting your emotions from a situation. But I think in that sense, a self-reflective aspect of it or process would be to when you're sitting down by yourself and you're taking the time to sit down and realize like, yo, you know what, like I do tend to get angry at certain times. I should and then off that self-reflection, off that evaluation, you're able to make different decisions and choices like how to control it. Self-reflection is the evaluatory process to you making eventual steps to getting better as a person, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that is that where you were going with that?
That was
yeah.
That's
okay.
exactly what I was going.
Yeah. I mean, there's different ways to make yourself a better person. Everyone has their own ways. People deal with stress in very different ways. People deal with the things we go through in life in extremely different ways. Some people like to write. Some people like to read. Eat, yeah. Maybe don't eat too much. There's a limit on how much we should eat healthily.
Fruits and vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables. Exercise is super important. Always exercise. It does a lot for the body. Yeah. It's.
Yeah. Find what. Another thing like self-reflection. Yeah, everybody does it differently. Like just find the way that feels good to like let emotion out or let stress out.
Yeah.
Like everybody's different.
That's a great point. I've heard of things where some people like to talk about their problems, some people like to write them down. And one of the really great, some people can just sit down and think and just be reflective that way. They'll just sit down at the end of the night and just be like, okay, this is how my day went. This is what, where I screwed up or where, this happened or this happened. They're able to reflect on that. But some people like to write things down, which I thought was really cool. I've been told to write things down where you're able to write something down at one point in time and then maybe a little bit down the line, reflect on that same writing and see how you've changed or see how the
Yeah.
situation has changed. And those are, like you said, there are different ways of reflecting yourself. I think that's, that's amazing. I mean, even audio things like this,
For
it's
real.
yeah,
Just having a conversation.
just having conversations with someone, and it's cool to look back. Even now, I can look back on my first podcast, or even my second podcast when I did it right here in this same seat, and it was just me, myself, and I. And now I have guests, people asking questions, a whole bunch of other things going on,
and it's self-reflecting.
Yeah,
Better.
And how am I? All right, let's reflect. How am I going to make this podcast better? It's all about making yourself better at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's what that whole reflective process is.
That it's very important to self-reflect. You need to, otherwise, if you don't self-reflect, you won't get better. You won't get anywhere. Like you can't avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned myself the hard way. You can't avoid things. Like you can't. You have to self-reflect. Like after something bad happens or something, you just honestly, like everybody has personally done something terrible themselves, and it's just like at the end of the day, you have to sit down and self-reflect.
Yeah.
And you can't just avoid it and think, oh, okay, like you'll wait for another opportunity, something happening, and you just think you'll take it in a different direction. But if you don't actually self-reflect, and like really self-reflect and like tell yourself like, think about how you could go about it differently, how you could be different, how you could change, how you could better yourself. It's a growing process.
I think that's a good point. Like failing to self-reflect is a failure to yourself and your own character and your own self-progression. I think the narrow-minded are very good at failing to self-reflect. The narrow-minded, they see one thing and they just take it and run with it. They don't really think twice about, what are the repercussions of my actions? Like, how does this make me as a person? Or how does this, help or, hurt me, in my own, getting to be my best me. But if you're really able to sit down and, think about that stuff, then you can change a lot for yourself and for the people around you for the better. I mean, let's face it, granted, what we talk about a lot on the podcast is making yourself better as a person, but the outlook that has on, the people around you, your society, your friends, family, energy is contagious, and people pick up on certain vibes and like, oh, you've changed a lot. Like, I can't tell what it is about you, but you've changed a lot. And you won't realize how good of a compliment that is until you realize it yourself that like, wow, I really have changed a lot. And you see it's for the better. Mm-hmm. I think that's a beautiful thing when you're able to, look at yourself and be like, you know what, like I did well for myself, Okay, so tell me what your self-reflecting has been like. How do you self-reflect?
How do I self-reflect?
Yeah.
So I am personally that person that sits in silence by myself. I can self-reflect like just by thinking. I like it. I like silence.
So you don't got no music playing or nothing. It's like dark room, middle.
Well, no, it's okay. No. It's not like depressing or like that. But like, maybe I'll have some music playing. But for the most part, it's like silence. Maybe I'll be driving. A lot of the time, I like to drive and like just sit and think.
Yeah, driving is very therapeutic.
Yeah. I'm like introvert. So it's like I'm like a to myself type person.
I feel that. Yeah, for sure.
But also it's not bad to how I also self-reflect. I do talk to myself.
I talk to myself all the time. I talk to myself all the time.
Yeah.
So
it's not a bad thing. It honestly, for me, it's so therapeutic. Like, because I honestly, like, I'll just be talking, and it how I'm talking, it's like I'm talking to somebody else, but like it's me. Yeah. And like I'll actually like make sense of things. You'll ask yourself questions and you'll answer the question. I don't know, it's just
for sure. Yeah. It's good to have someone to talk to, but while you're talking to yourself, you kind of like work through things just hearing it out loud.
Yeah.
So I feel that. That's a very good point. I do that to myself a lot. I'm just crazy though, and I don't self-reflect every time I do it. Sometimes I just be talking to myself about stuff, but I mean, for me personally, I'm more of like a late night, like dark room. Like I just sit there and I just if I'm just up, one night just thinking, and I'm like, hey, like You know, just think about yourself. You know, it usually ends up going that way. I mean, you gotta be careful. That's a dark road to go down sometimes. You know, it's a dark road to go down sometimes. But I mean, like, I feel like it's important, you know, to sit down and think to myself about myself. So, I mean, I try to do it. But you know, and I've dabbled in different things, whether it be writing or taking drives, listening to music through my way, through my thoughts. But I found that sitting down by my lonesome and thinking about it, like when I have epiphanies, like those are like the coolest thing to me. You know, like because it's like I thought of that myself. That's like where my mindset was and where my mind state was. You know, where I was at in that particular point in time. But also I do enjoy, talking to other people like this, just so that way you get a new perspective on, what you were thinking about, what you were looking at. And sometimes, people, especially me, so much so that, I talk to a lot of older people. So, they have a lot of experience, right? Mm-hmm. So when they tell me something, I kind of say, okay, it's interesting you look at that way. Let's see how that relates to my own life, and my reflective skills. So I'm able to, think about what they said or how they're looking at something, having them been through it already, mm-hmm. and then kind of, try to relate that to my own life and relate that to how I'm thinking and how I'm feeling about myself. So it definitely, it takes its turns in own ways that, some people might like, some people, might not, but that's why, everything's personalized. You got to find your own personal way of, kind of, dealing with stress and being able to self-reflect, because it can be stressful sometimes. You reflect on things that, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Sometimes you may reflect on something like, okay, I really like how I did this. This went very well today. Let's continue to do that. Like I like where I'm at in life. Or you could be like, you know what, I'm just, not doing what I need to do right now. I'm not hitting on my points. I'm not, I wasn't as organized as I wanted to be today. I wasn't as driven as I wanted to be today. Whatever that case may be, you set out, those different points and you can try to hit them next time. But you got to be able to figure those things out, right? And figure them out in a healthy manner that we're all able to, sit down and keep our mental health about us, right? Because that's super important. So you got to be able to, sit down and take care of things your own way.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But I've learned, because I personally like to keep a lot of things to myself, I have learned that it is needed you do need other people. Mm-hmm. You told me that as well. Yeah. You do need other people. And it's like, not necessarily saying you have to listen to them, but at the end of the day, you do need like an outside viewpoint. And if anything, the best is like an unbiased outside viewpoint of like a situation or whatever. It helps a lot, because it just, it like opens your mindset of what you were just saying. Like, okay, like I have another perspective I can like
pull information from, for lack of a better term. Yeah.
What is it, like how you were saying, and how I was saying, like, talking to other people, mm-hmm. like
being interactive with others.
And like hearing other people's perspectives, stories, not necessarily saying you have to. It's really just about like it opens your mindset of like, oh, okay, like other people's situations, and like just like more perspectives, because you could always look at things in so many ways.
Yeah, for sure, most definitely. Yeah, so it definitely will lead into the next one very soon. I was supposed to have the how to open your mindset today, but I misplaced my book. So I had to find my book. I don't know what I do. I've been traveling a lot lately. So I gotta find my book. Once I find my book, that's gonna be the next one. We've had to divert a little bit. This was something I wanted to do a little bit farther down the line, but right here will do just fine.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything does happen for a reason. I do believe that, to a certain extent, of course. I believe you make your own decisions, yes. And there are repercussions for your actions, but I also do believe that, certain things happen for a reason. If there was something saved for you and you know what, oh, I didn't get it, and like, you know what, maybe it wasn't meant for me. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Who decides what's meant for you and who's not meant for you? It's a different story. That's a different talk. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. So that's it for today's episode of Mic Check. Thank you to Sarah for coming out here and being my guest. Well, I'm not coming out too far. We're in our home. So I guess thank you for allowing me to come here and host you.
Thank you for allowing me to be on the podcast.
Oh, of course, of course. Yeah, no questions for today. But what I would like to do is I would like to, as always, I do like to challenge my audience to try something new. After watching this, I want to challenge you guys to, just take a second, sit back and really think about, am I where I want to be in life? What am I passionate in life? What do I really enjoy to do? If there's nothing that, that was going on in my life, I was sitting down with nothing else on my plate. What would I decide to do with my time? Like what are your passions? What do you like to do? Are you moving in the right direction with your life goals? Are you like doing the right things that are gonna make you happy? Am I with the person that's gonna make me happy? Am I doing the things that's gonna make me happy? Stuff like that. Just reflect on yourself, no matter how it may be. Writing, maybe you like to read to clear your mind, and then think about stuff afterwards, or listen to a podcast. Maybe you have certain podcasts or things you like to watch that really get your intellectual fluids moving in your mind, and that's like what you like to do. So just challenge yourselves to take a second, sit back, think to yourself about yourself. That's all. So that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining. Please give me questions. I would love to hear from you guys, hear what you guys are thinking about. Questions or comments, whatever the case may be. I'll shout them out on the show. Also, if you want to become a guest, let me know. If you know me personally, hit me up. If you don't know me personally, then of course I have my Instagram and Twitter page that are linked to the account as well. But please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. That's it for today. Mimic out.